Hey guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy. Today we're talking about the Hunger Games because instead of sleeping, I enjoy uploading 3 times a week. So as you can see by the title, it says Katniss is alike to Snow. I don't actually know what I'm going to be titling this video, but I've been thinking about this topic for a while because I haven't seen a whole lot of people talking about it. I think when Songbirds and Snakes originally came out, people did talk about it a little bit, but not quite at the point that I thought about it. I think about this quite a lot, actually. So when we look at Snow and Katniss, obviously they're very different characters simply because of their character arcs. For Snow, it's the ending with Lucy Gray, and with Katniss, it's kind of because of Prim's death, and kind of also her character arc completes when she ends up with Peter and with 2 kids in the epilogue. So obviously their stories end quite differently, and obviously at the same time Snow has a kind of second character arc in Mockingjay. So there's a character arc in Songbirds and Snakes and a character arc when he dies. So very different, very, very different fates for the 2 of them, but how are they similar in some way? Well, I have an answer for you today. They're extremely similar, not only in temperament before their character arcs. I'm talking similar before their character arcs, because temperament, if we're comparing the Lucy Gray scene with Katniss, no, they're not similar in temperament. And by temperament, I mean that Katniss is stubborn. She doesn't want power quite like Snow does, but she's very hot-headed, and I would say Snow is quite hot-headed as well. And it's only when he's in public that, even not them, because he acts, as soon as he ends up acting in like Mockingjay and he's seeing he's losing power, that's when he becomes hot-headed and he's like, power, strength, the capital, have to have power over Panem. So one of the ways that Katniss and Snow are quite similar is in the speech. And now I don't think this speech was said by Snow, and I don't think that Katniss and Snow are similar just because Snow said so. I just wanna preface that. They are quite similar because in Mockingjay, after why did I say that anyway? Moving on, after the rebels take over the capital and lock Snow away in that rose garden, creepy white rose garden, Snow has this kind of speech with Katniss talking about how, and I don't have quotes because I've made this video on a whim, so I don't have the exact quote, but he says in both the movies and the books that he and Katniss are quite similar, and this is to get in her head in a way as well, but it is telling us that Snow and Katniss are in a way character foils. Now, if you don't know what a character foil is, it's essentially like contrasting each other but also complementing each other for characters, so like their characters will play off of one another, so, and to like motivate the plot in a way. So you'll often get like a hero and a villain like Katniss and Snow playing off of one another and their interactions. And I know this is about similarities, but hear me out here. They contrast each other because they are so similar in the way that they think, but they have different ways of acting on that, and different ways they have different morals as well. And we can definitely see that in the way that Coriolanus Snow, before he becomes President Snow, he really thinks like Katniss because he has a lot of choices. He has the choice to do the good thing or the choice to do the bad thing, in the same way Katniss has those choices as well. It's just not as explicit as the monologue that Snow's like, we're very similar. We've been paying attention to each other when we should have been paying attention to Coin. That was the speech, and I don't think I finished saying that that's what the speech I was talking about. Katniss has every chance to kill Peter, let him die, let Peter die, let Rue die, to not align herself with Rue. She has every chance to, I want to say with the career pack because she was so strong, but the careers did not like her. Not with the career pack. She has every choice to kill Finnick, every choice to not align herself with anyone in catching fire. She has every choice to just go along with Coin as well, even after she killed her sister. Snow also has choices. He has every choice to align himself with Sejanus, every choice to align himself with Tigress, and every choice to be a good person because Tigress raised him essentially, even though she's only 3 years older. She's like an older cousin to him, and like a mother figure, I guess, a really good feminine presence in his life. And she taught him, raised him to be a good person, and he rejected that. So Katniss could have been the same as Snow and rejected helping others, and Katniss had every choice to not choose Peter and just choose herself in the same way Snow did. And the similarities there are that the choice that they had, and the reason that they choose differently with all their similarities is because of one thing that I truly believe is like the pivotal moment where Snow could have been a really amazing person and not turned out like an evil dictator that he did, whereas Katniss turned out to be this, like, yes, hot-headed, but chose empathy, chose people. She was family orientated and very people orientated without even realizing it, because she's a very isolated character in the book. She says that she finds it very difficult to trust people and very difficult to make friends and keep friends around, even though Madge is a very close female friend that's not in the movies, unfortunately, but she was a very good friend to Katniss when Gale definitely wasn't. So she had that kind of like stabilizer in her life in Catching Fire. Eventually Madge did unfortunately die. It's at least assumed that she died in the chaos and the bombing of District 12. But she chose all of these people, and she was very people orientated despite being a bit of a gloomy character. She doesn't realize it, which is really weird. Just a side note, Katniss not realizing that she's very well liked as a person is hilarious, and that is so me. Katniss, Suzanne Collins, I think you made me the way I am. Now for what I think the reason Snow is the way he is. In the text, at some point, I believe he says it to Lucy Gray at some point. In the movies, he says it to Lucy Gray. I don't know if we simply get it as exposition. I've only ever read Songbirds and Snakes once. I've reread the other books so many times. I know it's at least exposition. I don't know if it's also said to Lucy Gray in the books because I can't remember. My bad. Someone tell me in the comments if it's also said to Lucy Gray in the books. But it's exposition. Snow states that he was supposed to have a sister. Snow tells us as an audience as well that he was supposed to have a sister, but his mother died in childbirth, which is an interesting thing that I don't see a whole lot of people talking about as a point, because it's so pivotal for Snow's character to have potentially had a sister. Prim being the sister of Katniss did have a sister. She, despite the fact that her mother was not very present after her father died, she still had a sister and a mother to care about, even if she wasn't necessarily receiving all that love back at once because depression. I'm sure her mother loved her, but, you know, that's not the point. But Katniss dealt with a lot, but she still learnt that kind of empathy and care for others through her sister Prim, because she was forced to unfortunately look after Prim and raise Prim. So Tigress in particular had to raise Coriolanus, or her cousin Corio. So she learnt that same empathy. We can see that these characteristics were learnt by the characters in this particular world. So Tigress learns this kind of empathy from raising her cousin, but Coriolanus, Snow, would have learnt this empathy from his sister had his mother not died in childbirth, had his sister simply survived, and maybe his mother had died after childbirth because of childbirth, or complications with childbirth, I think it is. He likely would have raised his sister in a similar fashion that Tigress raised him, which is something that I've always found incredibly interesting, that Suzanne Collins would have utilized the characters of a potential sister when it's not mentioned again throughout the text. At least it might be at the end after he's gone after Lucy Gray, but I once again can't remember in the books. But he does mention it once to Lucy Gray before the games, I believe, that he was supposed to have a sister and that his mother died because of it. And we know as an audience that Suzanne Collins does not put stuff in her books. She does not write anything if it does not have meaning. Now, I find it, once again, very interesting that many people don't talk about the fact that Coriolanus Snow is so similar to Katniss simply because of this sister character, or at least the potential of a sister character, that their lives, their thinking, other than the fact that he was raised Capital, was so similar that we even have to be removed as an audience from Snow's perspective, that we're given Snow's perspective from a third person point of view to, and I've always said this, that it's to remove us from feeling empathetic towards him as a character, because he is so incredibly charismatic as a character that there's nothing necessarily stopping us from loving him as a protagonist. And personally, I love him as a protagonist. Doesn't mean I like him as a character and what he's done to all the other characters in the original trilogy and throughout his life, his reign as president, as a dictator, might I mention. On the other hand, of course, we have Katniss as a first-person protagonist, first-person narrator. We're getting her innermost thoughts. We're getting a lot of Snow's thoughts as well, which is why I personally know and think that Katniss and Snow are very similar in the way they think. They're very, I want to say pragmatic. Is that the correct term? They think things through, but at the same time, Katniss does not think things. They think things through, and then they don't. What do I mean by that? Good question. I mean that they will think things through, but then they'll just act on them without outside perspectives. You know, they think that they know what is right, and they assume that everyone thinks exactly like them, which is not the case. There we go. That's what I meant. You're welcome for that explanation. I mean, I set it up for an explanation because that was a confusing statement that I made, but they don't get an outside perspective, which is they're very biased narrators. Once again, another similarity between the two, but that's also Suzanne Collins writing. But also a point of this video is that they're biased narrators, they're biased people, because that's kind of what people are like, just in general. As human beings, we're very biased. We assume a lot of the time that other people think exactly like us, because why wouldn't they? You know, we have often not a lot of evidence that other people don't think like us. And that's something that Snow and Katniss do quite often in their narratives, despite the third person and first person perspectives. You know, Katniss has a lot of prejudice going into the Capitol, that she believes that everyone hates the Capitol. They're like very gluttonous people, and they love their just high-end fashion and high-end. Why did I say high-end? They're crazy fashion, and how much food they eat when all the district starves. And she expects everyone from the districts to think exactly like her and to act exactly like her. And then Snow will, from a Capitol perspective, think that everyone from the Capitol thinks like him. And why are people so disgusted over the Hunger Games when it's entertainment? It's a way to keep the districts from rebelling again. So they both think that everyone else thinks like them. And once again, the only reason that Katniss has that kind of empathy that Snow has is because of her sister. Because she had to raise her sister, she had to understand how other people react in situations, how other people need to live, and how she needs to care for people. Her care for Prim is something that Snow never had the privilege of, and he still chose to not understand Tigress's point of view and how difficult it was for her to raise him, because he didn't have someone to raise on his side. when he technically should have, but Suzanne Collins took that away from him as a character to make him into the character that we see in the original trilogy. I know this is a bit of a controversial topic, and I really want to know what you guys think in the comments down below, whether or not, you think Katniss and Snow have a lot of similarities as characters. What do you think of that Mockingjay scene after the rebels took over the capital, when he says that they think quite alike? I know, once again, he was trying to get under her skin, but he has a point, because he had been analyzing Katniss. Katniss had been analyzing Snow as well, because they're analytical. They think about themselves, but empathy is what is separating them. Alright guys, hopefully I didn't trigger you too much throughout this video. I'm sorry if I did. Leave me an essay in the comments down below. I know you guys love leaving me essays in the comments. But this is the end of the video. Please like and subscribe because I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm so close. I'm like 30 something subscribers away. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you guys could subscribe. Please. It'd be nice. Do you love Hunger Games videos? Subscribe. Do you love film theories? Subscribe. I do all of that. I analyze literature. I do movie reviews, film reviews. They are the same thing. TV show reviews, video games sometimes as well, and media theories. Subscribe. I also post 3 times a week, so lots of content on this channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, but I've been CJ. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!